All right, hello and welcome to the webinar today on seasonal and part-time staff onboarding. We are so excited to have you here today. Can you all make sure to let us know if you can hear me okay by going down in the chat function and saying yes? Maybe a couple of you. There's a chat function at the bottom of this. Great, thank you so much. So we prefer that your audio is turned off. So if for some reason your audio looks like it's coming through and you're not muted, please go ahead and make sure that you are muted. And that is represented by the little microphone. So make sure you're muted. And if you have questions throughout, you can use the chat function at the bottom of your screen, or maybe it's at the top of your screen now, to type some questions in there. We will reserve most of the question time today for the end of this webinar, and it is scheduled for 30 minutes, so it's a brief webinar today. Today, we have two of us in the room at the Epley Institute. My name is Sally Pelto-Wheeler. I'm a project manager here at Epley. And we also have, go ahead, Matthew.
Hi, everybody. My name is Matthew Rule. I'm a web developer with Epley.
And we're going to be moving through some of the objectives for this webinar. I just want to let you know how we're going to be spending the next 30 minutes with you. If you go ahead and go to the next slide, please. We'd really like to describe the importance of onboarding of new seasonal and part-time staff. I know for some of you it'll be preaching to the choir. You understand what a vital component these folks are to your park systems and to your agencies. We're also going to outline the 3 onboarding courses. Let's see here. The 3 onboarding courses, and give you a sneak peek at these 3 courses, and then also describe how to utilize these supplemental facilitation guides that you can use for your in-person orientation after folks have already looked through the courses. And at the end, like I said, we want to reserve at least like 5 to 10 minutes to allow time for some questions at the end. Okay, so if we go to the next slide here, we want to talk a little bit before we get started about why onboarding is important and why these courses came about in the first place. And it really started with the need for the training being voiced by a lot of folks that we've come across at the Epley Institute. And for all of you who don't know what the Epley Institute is and what we do for the field of Parks and Recreation, we are actually an outreach and training arm for the School of Public Health at Indiana University. And we have about 10,000 successful training experiences every year with park and recreation professionals, mostly through our online courses, but we also do workshops and conferences and blended learning type of events, and do a host of different types of topics in our training, including master planning, accessibility, tourism, aquatics, all different types of topics. So I just wanted to give you a little snippet on that. I forgot to do that at the beginning. So at the Epley Institute, we kept hearing this need for training of seasonal and part-time staff, and to bring some consistency to the approach that these agencies are having with this group of staff. And what we did was we brought together a committed group of agencies to act as what we call our subject matter experts. And we use an instructional design process to bring the expertise of these agencies into the content of these 3 courses. The agencies that helped us out, I just want to give them some credit here, were from varying different sizes. Small town, Valparaiso, Indiana, their Parks and Recreation Department, to a mid-sized town, gold medal winner, Carmel Clay Parks and Recreation here in Indiana. And then there was also some larger metro cities that helped us develop these courses. Louisville, Kentucky, Indianapolis, Indiana, and then Montgomery County, Maryland, just outside of Washington, D.C. So we really had a great group of subject matter experts to provide some of this, this content for the courses. And the result was these three online courses that were developed by industry experts, and along with these facilitation guides that we'll cover here in a minute. I'm going to give you a sneak peek on that. So what was their voice, what were they voicing concerns about why this onboarding is so important? So we know that investing in seasonal and part-time staff can do all of these things listed here on the screen. It's an opportunity to help your part-time and seasonal staff increase their feeling of being valued, their confidence in doing their job properly and representing your agency well in the community. And it really can result in a better experience for your programs and the people who attend your parks. So looking at bringing this comprehensive and consistent approach to training your staff was really the goal and the importance of this onboarding experience. And we know that confident, well-trained seasonal and part-time staff are ultimately going to provide this better experience for the folks who are at your parks and in your programs. So before we move forward here a little bit, we kind of want to get your feedback on a quick poll about what best describes your current onboarding practices, just to get a feel for what you're currently doing in your agencies. So if you could go ahead and select the answer that best fits your response. We do realize that this might not give all the options of how you do your onboarding, but we just kind of wanted to get a feel for this here. Thank you for going ahead and submitting that. So it looks like there's a little bit of everything. Most of you have selected that you have something comprehensive already. And I think the importance of why we think this suite of courses can be used to your advantage is really to bring a comprehensive, consistent approach for all of those folks who are being onboarded into your agency, to create kind of that baseline knowledge that everybody's getting the same knowledge as they're coming on board in your agency. So we are going to do some screen swapping here and actually going to get into viewing some of the content of the courses. And we're hoping that this is going to be helpful for you all and maybe might spur some questions. Okay. All right, so course 1 is looking at some of these foundational aspects of parks and recreation. And it highlights, the 9 benefits that park and recreation agencies have on their communities. And it also looks at, we have here on the screen, why or what it looks like for an agency to have mission statements and value statements. And it gives you some examples of park and recreation agencies' missions and values. And kind of ask them to think about what is the mission of the agency that you're about to join here as a staff member, and gets them thinking about that before they even come on the job. You know, like really what is the function of this agency? if Matthew, you go to the 9 benefits, the meat and potatoes of this course is the, it should be near the top, is the 9, let's see, yeah, the 9 benefits of Parks and Recreation for both individually and for the community as a whole. So you see here that this course is actually structured around these 9 benefits, how it strengthens communities, how it provides recreational experience, it promotes health and wellness, park and recreation agencies improve the environment. We even touch on improving property value and enhancing tourism. So really helping these staff understand all of the different ways that park and recreation agencies are able to impact the community that they're in. Moving on to course 2. So course 2 is the soft skills and professional development course. And the reason why our subject matter experts thought that this was so important was that everybody needs to learn how to successfully work with other people. And it's really a foundational thing to help understand how to work with other people. And one critical component that is covered in this course is the fact that we can only control our thoughts and emotions. We can't control thoughts and emotions or actions of other people. So we structure this course around these 4 components. This is actually an acronym that we use throughout the course, and it's CAAT, C-A-A-T, and it stands for communication, accountability, adaptability, and teamwork. And we describe these as kind of this core set of soft skills that you need to have to be successful at your job. I just wanted to show you a little bit of an activity. If you go down to activity 3, this is an example of how our course designers create the content so that lots of different people can learn from it. So these are not just PowerPoint slides you're clicking through. This is interactive content. Here we have an actual activity that touches a little bit on emotional intelligence, where it describes a situation of a part-time employee going for a position for a little bit of a raise or a promotion, and they didn't get the position. And it talks about how what emotions you might be feeling, and it kind of goes through that in a fun way as an activity. So that's one example of the type of activity. If we go on to course 3, course 3 has a lot of different types of activities as well. Course 3 highlights the health and safety in the workplace. And this, we wanted to give a little disclaimer that the subject matter experts, these agencies that help us create these courses, really said that this course wasn't at all intended to replace your safety training at your agency, but they believe that the content is important and good to have for some general safety guidelines, and we'll get to that in a second about what the types of things that we cover in here. But that redundancy in safety is a great thing, because after all, a safe workplace means a safe environment for your staff, for the kids in your programs, and for the people in your parks. So the safety course was really something that the subject matter experts thought was important to have. And it covers some of these really important skills Matthew's going through about being observant on the job, being aware of your surroundings, being proactive, and being an effective communicator. And all of these things help you create a work environment where you can maybe prevent some of these problems from happening in the first place. So that's kind of the critical component of this course, is that with these skills, you can help make the workplace safer and make sure that you're preventing some of these problems from happening in the first place. There are some neat case studies that are in this course. For instance, here we follow Annalena, who is a staff member, and she goes through and she has some issues and some confrontations that she comes across, and she problem solves. And we discuss the different ways that you can go through your work day and the different things that can come up in the real world. So there's case studies throughout, and we provide feedback and advice about some of these things that can be happening in your workplace. We also have another neat feature of this course is the I Spy, which we thought was important to cover some common injuries that maybe occur in the workplace, and also offer some broad knowledge, if you scroll down a little bit, about plants and animals that these staff members might come across in your parks. And for instance, here we have what poison ivy looks like, what poison sumac looks like, these things that you're probably, almost every staff member is going to come across these things. But this is a neat way of looking at safety and kind of prepping these staff to understand the types of flora and fauna that are out in park systems. So overall, these courses are designed to be interactive. We have instructional design experts that understand that people learn in different ways. We have videos, different activities throughout, links to outside, websites that they can look at for maybe additional certifications, and a lot of ways to bring this content into real life for these folks. I wanted to touch a little bit on logistically how these courses can be implemented in your systems. And I wanted to kind of give you a little bit of background on how we're having these conversations with agencies. Some folks are saying, we'd like to have this, we want to have this as a requirement before in-person orientation. So maybe they do it at home, or you bring them into your agency, have them sit down at a computer, go through them. Or some agencies are saying, we're going to do this as a group where a few people sit at a computer, they go through the content, maybe they can talk about it, talk through it at the same time. And what we're finding is a lot of these agencies are actually wanting to send not only their seasonal and part-time staff through these trainings, but their full-time staff as well. And I think the reason for that, and what they're stating to us, is that a lot of park and recreation agencies hire people who don't have any formal training in parks and recreation, or don't have any formal background in it. So especially that foundational course, that first course, gives you some foundations in what park and recreation agencies do for communities, and help really understand some of those foundational aspects. We do have a recommendation of a best practice in terms of implementation is to definitely have the part-time and seasonal staff go through these courses before you get into your in-person training. So that's the best practice that we recommend, because it's the concept of blended learning. So if you have folks go through these courses and then bring them in and talk about them, and we'll talk about how we use that blended approach with these facilitation guides. Matthew, if you want to bring up the PowerPoint again, that actually has a sneak peek at this facilitation guides and how we've structured these. Each of these guides, we've structured them so that you can have the guide as a tool for this. One on the screen is for 10 participants or more. So if you're bringing in maybe a group of 30 people and you're training them all at the same time, you would use this guide. The other one is for maybe a smaller group, maybe only onboarding a couple people, and we have activities that are more appropriate for that size. So the one on the screen here, it really it shows you the purpose of the guide. It's a really easy tool to help you understand, that talking about what they learned in the courses is really powerful, and it can give the opportunity to help those staff retain some of that course information that they learned online. It allows for peer-to-peer learning when you go through these activities. Matthew, if you go to the next slide, it actually shows an example of one of the activities. This is a modified round robin that we actually pull out some of the content from the courses, and you can modify this in any way that your agency sees appropriate. But this is a modified round robin where actually you have a group of maybe 20 people, and you have flip charts around the room with the concepts that are listed in the box there. Those are concepts from the courses. You have those concepts around the room. You actually have small groups of staff go to each of the stations, each of the flip charts, and write down on the flip charts what they feel they learned or what they know about, for instance, teamwork, what they believe is important. So what this is, and we give you some instructions on, this is a activity that'll take about 30 to 45 minutes, depending on your group size. You go through this activity, and then what you do is, the powerful part is the debrief at the end. So your supervisor or the trainer of these folks would go through and debrief on these concepts, but really hit the stuff that's important to your agency and bring it back to policies, procedures that you want to cover in your agency. But the important part about these facilitation guides is that they're created to reinforce that material, and that they're fun and they're engaging. And the activities in here are created for, by instructional designers that really understand how to reinforce this, this curriculum that your staff just learned in the online courses. So I think I covered everything in terms of the sneak peek of the courses and how to use the facilitation guides. And we have about 6 minutes here. If you want to go to the next slide, I think we talk a little bit about, and I assume that most of you have seen this page because you found us and you registered for the courses, but you can go to provalenceLearning.com/seasonal onboarding suite to go on and learn more. And there's a quick getting started kind of step-by-step to show you. Matthew's clicking through here on the screen to kind of show you choose the size plan that's right for your agency. And then it kind of shows you step-by-step what you want to do to get enrolled in the set of courses. Okay, so I do want to leave time for questions. We do have 5 minutes here. If you want to put your questions in the chat function, we are all friends here. No questions are bad questions. Let us know what you're thinking, and perhaps we can answer some of your questions here live, or we have up on the screen, you can email us at support@epley.org or give us a call. Do we have any questions? We can also bring up a poll. We'd like to know from you all what other types of trainings you all are needing. This is an opportunity to kind of make sure that we're capturing what the needs are out there. So we can definitely stick around and make sure to answer any of your questions through the chat function.
That we added the interpretation course.
Is added already to the suite. Okay. Matthew was just updating me on, we do have a supplemental course that has been added, I would say as a bonus for seasonal and part-time. It's a course that's focused on interpretation for seasonal and part-time folks. And that is something that has just been added to the suite of courses. It's not the set of foundational 3, but it has been added as a resource for you all, and is part of the cost of the program that is listed there on the website. No additional cost. Okay, thanks for that input on other training needs. We actually, with our SMEs, the budgeting thing came up a couple times. So we're not seeing any questions come through. We will stay on the line for one more minute, but definitely want to thank you all for learning more about the seasonal and part-time staff onboarding suite of courses, and appreciate the time that you spent with us today. Oh. Yeah, to answer your question, Carol. We call it a blended learning experience because we provide those facilitation guides that help you reinforce the concepts learned in the online courses. So what we offer as part of that package price is access to the 3 courses for your staff, and also access to the facilitation guides that your supervisors or your trainers, whoever ends up training your seasonal part-time staff members, to use as a tool to reinforce that material that they learned in those courses.
But it could be online only.
But it could be online only. Yes, good point, Matthew. So if you do not want to use the facilitation guides, that's fine too. If you only want, really, we structured this so that you can use it in a way that best suits your agency. Okay, what's this question? Do you find the generic information sufficient, or do you find that supervisors want to modify? Yeah, we absolutely recommend that you modify for what's best for your agency. I think I touched on that a little bit. I think the point is that the 3 courses give you that baseline knowledge, and then the facilitation guides are kind of used to as a template for reinforcing that material. And we've heard that folks like to use it verbatim, or they just make it right for their agency. Thank you guys for the questions. Oh, showing the price list again. Is it on there? Okay. All right. I think we're going to sign off now. We really appreciate your time and attention today. And please do reach out to us by the phone number or the email here, support@epley.org. And we hope you enjoy the rest of your day.